We love getting your questions, so we want you to keep them coming via Facebook, Twitter, and on our webpage. Who knows, we might just answer your question here in the studio audience next. Today on an all-new Daily Helpline, please welcome Jewel.
I thought, what's wrong with me that my own mom doesn't want me? What's wrong with me that my dad isn't spending time with me?
Do you see yourself as a victim?
If I'm tough, I'm going to be fine.
You leave here today and nothing changes, you leave alone.
I'm afraid of not being able to take care of myself.
Permission is granted for you to get real.
I have a problem and I want to get it under control.
Good start. Yeah, give her a hand. Welcome to the Daily Helpline. I'm Miles Edcox.
And I'm Spirit. And we want to thank you so much for being here today. Today we've got a great guest. She's an author, an actress, singer, and a songwriter. Everybody, please welcome Jewel.
Hi.
Amazing. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Yes. You look gorgeous.
Oh, I love your pen.
Yeah, I'm stealing all of that later. Okay, so, I want to talk about your life because you have lived your life so loud and you have lived most of it out in the public eye. And what I love about you is that you haven't been shy about the trials, the tribulations, the ups and the downs. I mean, how have you found the courage to let your life be a testimony in the way it's been?
I was drowning at quite a young age with struggles, with trying to hold up an image that was more perfect than I actually felt like I was. I felt like a big liar, and it started at a really young age. And so I started just telling the truth on myself so that I didn't feel like such a liar. But actually what I found out in the process was that I was okay, and that everybody had the same flaws and fears that I had. It started with my writing, wanting to be honest somewhere, because I started to feel like I was inadequate. I had all kinds of fears and anxieties in my household. I moved out when I was young. I was 15 when I moved out. And so it really kind of started with that, of saying I'm just going to try and be really honest about it, and at least I'll feel honest. And then I realized I was pretty much the same as everybody else.
Well, we are so glad to have Jewel here helping us today with our guests. And first, we're going to meet Jennie, who is finally admitting to a lifelong addiction. Take a look.
I have been a compulsive shopper for over 30 years. I have bought so much stuff that I've run out of space. In fact, one time I had so many clothes in my closet that the rack collapsed. A famous realtor online had a darling pair of these pants. So I bought one in every color. And it's not just these pants. It's these and these. And yeah, a couple of them still have the price tags on them. I also buy a lot of jewelry. I have my rings in the top here, and watches and bracelets. I have 2 big drawers of bracelets, and then these are all my necklaces. There have been at least 3 different times in my life that I've rung up thousands of dollars of debt, and it's taken me years to pay off. Right now, I have about $21,000 in credit card debt. My ex-husband told me that I couldn't live within my means, and that was one of the reasons we divorced. Now that I'm on disability, my income is greatly reduced, and I can't afford to go out and buy things like I used to. Unfortunately, it doesn't deter me from shopping. I can't get my shopping addiction under control by myself.
Tell us why you decided to be here today. Why now?
I finally just sat down and said, I have a problem and I want to get it under control.
Good start. Yeah, give her a hand.
Yeah. And they say that's the first step, right?
Yeah.
Admitting that you have a problem.
So tell us, when did you first recognize that it was a problem?
It was about 25 years ago. I was in sales. I was making a really large income at a pretty young age, and I didn't have to worry about what I spent. It was just one of those things where I pretty much could buy whatever I wanted. And I changed jobs sort of right in the middle of that cycle, and I took a pay cut voluntarily, and I got caught sort of not with a big debt and not being able to pay that debt off with what would have been my annual bonus. I took a debt consolidation loan at that time, which was, this is like 1985, so this is really a long time ago, 30 years ago.
How much debt were you in?
At that time it was $8,000, but I was only making about $38,000. So it was a lot of money compared to my salary. And it took me 4 years to pay it off.
I can see here that this addiction's really cost you a lot. There's been a lot of loss in your life. Can I hear about some of the loss?
Probably the cycle of loss that has led to this latest problem is when I was diagnosed with lupus in 2000. I had a career that I really loved.
So you feel like you've lost a lot of sense of your purpose?
I lost my career, I had to retire, and then I lost a lot of my friends because when people find out that you've got lupus, they treat you like you're already dead. You know, they just dropped me. And I couldn't really leave the house a lot. I was bedridden for a good bit of the time. I started shopping a lot.
When I was
online.
15, I've shared this with people, I moved out. I ended up homeless when I was 18 because I wouldn't sleep with my boss. He wouldn't give me my paycheck, and I couldn't pay my rent that day. And I thought, well, I'll live in my car, no big deal. I ended up getting sick kidneys, and I got very, very ill, and my car got stolen, and I ended up homeless. And I had started shoplifting when I was about 15, about the time I moved out on my own, I think to kind of calm some of my anxiety. My shoplifting really hit a high for me when I was about 18 and when I was homeless. And I sort of looked at it as me getting even, me taking control back of my life, me winning in some respect. One day I was gonna shoplift a dress, it was $39.99, and I had the price tag in my hand, and it was like, I don't know what it was like a lightning bolt struck me, and I went, when did I lose faith in myself? When did I stop thinking I could earn $40 for myself? When did my hands start betraying me and do things that were bad for me instead of things that were good for me? When did I quit believing in myself?
Yeah, I think the control thing is a real key element for me. I really want to get better. I feel like I'm out of control, and well, here's the control thing again. And but it's, I want to get it into a healthy place.
Well, let's talk about the control a little bit, because I'm wondering when you started trying to control. For instance, I know you say your husband left. Were you lying to him about the finance piece?
I wasn't actively lying. I controlled the bills. That was sort of my job.
What would you call it?
Lying by omission. I just wasn't telling
What
him.
was the first word?
Lying.
So
Okay.
Miles said, were you?
Yeah.
So
lying.
you were hiding it.
No, I was, yeah.
And then, so that was then. And we know it looks like this has been overcompensating or numbing pain has been going on a lot of your life.
Yeah, a lot, over half my life.
And you showed up here today and you say, now I realize it's addiction, the shopping piece after 30 years. And what we know about addiction is that for many people to hit that first place of saying, I have a problem, they typically have to hit an emotional bottom of some kind. What is your emotional bottom? Paint that picture for us. How bad has it gotten?
The bottom for me was when I was leaving my house in San Francisco because I moved out.
What happened to get you right here, right now, asking this question? I've got a problem. If I don't do something, what's going to happen?
I live in an apartment now, and I lease my car. I don't have a lot of responsibilities. I thought that I would be able to overcome this and not get into the same situation. And I've gotten into it twice because I got a settlement from him, and I had a big debt to pay off then that I'd already run up, even though I was getting a large amount of spousal support when we were separated. And then this past year, I had to take money out of my savings again. And I realized this has happened to me 2 times in 2 years, that I've run up big debts and I've had to tap my retirement savings. What am I going to do when my spousal support runs out and when I'm 59 and a half? I'm not going to have enough money to live on.
I don't know that will change anything. That's great information.
Yeah.
But you knowing that hasn't changed it up until now.
No, but I got scared.
Here,
And I'm scared right now.
I'm scared.
I'm afraid of not being able to take care of myself.
If this fits, just nod. I'm scared of being alone. What I hear is somebody really lonely.
I'm afraid of loss. I'm afraid of
That's it.
losing again and again and again.
Well, the first step is admitting it, and the second one is getting to the root of it. And so I think you just cracked that door open for us, because I think we were onto it in the beginning. It's loss that you're running from. We need to bookmark this because we need to hear more about the loss. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after this.
Coming up.
I don't understand why I need that kind of a fix.
We're not here to tear you down. We're here to wake you up.
We love getting your questions, so we want you to keep them coming via Facebook, Twitter, and on our webpage. Who knows, we might just answer your question here in the studio audience next.